Yeah, and do you believe in the Christian God?
Yes.
Okay, and why is that?
So intelligibility has preconditions, right?
What do you mean by intelligibility?
Well, in order for you to make an assertion or what we might call like a predication, there must be some things that are necessarily or transcendently true.
Okay. Well, I don't accept that it would be some sort of God. That would be a necessary precondition for what you're demonstrating to be intelligibility. Would you have any argument for why that would be a God?
Yeah, because any non-biblical worldview fails on the terms of those worldviews fail to satisfy those preconditions.
How so?
Yeah, so if I ask you what it is that dictates possibility and impossibility in the world, what would you posit to defend? As a Christian, that would be the God who is. We would say that the God who is uses the laws of nature, that the laws of nature are concrete. They actually stand in a cause and effect relationship with the physical world. You reject that. So what would you put in their place?
That would cause the intelligibility to exist?
Yeah, I mean, in order for us to talk
Here's my question.
intelligibility.
What is logically impossible about it being a natural explanation? Because I'm an agnostic atheist, meaning I don't have an explanation, right, for what came prior to the Big Bang. And I think what you're asking for is a precondition prior to the Big Bang that could have led to this happening? Or are you asking for
No,
the
I'm just saying any.
evolution, like the description of evolution or abiogenesis, in order to be able to get to the level of intellectual capacities we have now, right? To be able to make reason, or I mean, to engage in reason or to make arguments?
Yeah, but even the those propositions that you just invoked presuppose certain aspects about reality, such like that reality can be rationally understood because there are some things that are possible and other things that are impossible. So you're implicitly affirming that there's something out there. What provides for the uniformity of nature? These are what we would call like fundamental presuppositions. And on your worldview, what are you gonna posit there? What would that be?
I don't think I would have to posit a God in order to say that reality can be reasonably understood. All I just have to do is posit that I have like a brain with sensibility and the ability to
Right.
actually critically think. Right? All you have to do is posit that those particular things could allow for reasonability. I think that natural explanations could explain that. I don't see why you were saying that in order to be able to come to some determination or to reasonably understand the world, I would have to advocate that some sort of God exists. And even if
Well,
a
notice that
certain
I've
God
asked
did
you.
exist, by the way, that doesn't necessitate that it was the Christian version of God. There could be a deist notion of God that could have created those particular preconditions under your same reason, because you said for some reason there needs to be
Those are
a personal being that would generate that, rather than it just being any type of existence that would have the certain sets of conditions that were eternal.
those are just more. Yeah, those are just more assertions. You didn't actually answer the question. I'm
Okay.
happy to answer those things, but I asked you what it is that dictates possibility and impossibility, and then you just invoked like that
Oh,
you have
sure.
this rational mind, which you didn't give an argument for, and that somehow there's coherence between your mind and this rational world that you are living in, which is the thing that I'm asking you. What justifies just the rationality or the uniformity of nature in order that science can be done before you can even extrapolate back to the singularity or defend that this evolutionary mechanism works. See, you continue to presuppose these things that I'm asking you to justify. I'm happy to argue
What are you asking
or
for
explain
justify?
why.
Like, are
I'm
you
happy.
saying that you want like it to be empirically tested? Because I mean, I'd say that we empirically tested that we do absolutely have like these particular qualities. If you're saying that we like have the ability to reasonably conclude things, and even so, I don't have to provide
Not
an
what's the
account for.
question.
I don't have to provide an account for it in order to be able to
Well,
say that I don't accept the Christian worldview.
you do have to provide an account for your worldview, whatever that is, if you want to sit there and pretend that you can explain
I said I'm an
reality without
agnostic.
God. Right, but you do have a worldview, and that worldview is not the biblical worldview. So you do have a positive claim that there is some other non-biblical worldview that can satisfy these preconditions. Right, so you do have a burden of
I
proof
don't.
for whatever worldview you hold, whether it be fringe or whatever it might be. But when I ask you these questions, okay, great. Well, how do you just even from your worldview, what are you putting in that slot since you've removed God that dictates all possibility and impossibility in the world. If you don't have anything there, then on the terms of your worldview, and I'm not challenging whether or not we live in a world that's rationally understood. I'm saying on the terms of your worldview, you fail to explain your metaphysic within your worldview where there is no God. We can move on to epistemology or ethics. But as it is now, you have a worldview that is incoherent because your worldview cannot satisfy the preconditions of intelligibility that you are using to pretend that there is no God.
So by
Do you understand the
preconditions for
argument?
intelligibility, you're essentially saying the ability for us to verify whether or not true or false claims exist, right? And you're essentially saying that we don't have no basis to establish empirics, or we have no basis to establish rational faculties without saying that a God exists. I don't really see how God's existence changes whether or not you have the ability to rationally explain these particular types of things at all. And you don't have to provide any particular account as an agnostic atheist, as again, you don't know what the causal factor is of the universe. So I don't think any of those arguments are like weren't necessarily valid, especially
Well,
because like your argument
yeah.
doesn't necessarily entail that you have an explanation for say logic or some other factor
Oh,
for
sure I
explaining
do.
the world to a greater extent than say believing that there was a natural explanation to the world, or not even having an explanation for what led to the existence of the world.
So all I really heard there, two things. I heard that you concede that your worldview cannot be explained without God, but then you made an assertion that somehow I'm in the predicament as well. But that's something that you would have to show through argumentation. So
Well,
you brought up
actually,
logic, so we'll move on. We can
wait,
move on
hold
to
up.
logic. Like,
Could you tell me how it's
go
any
ahead.
different from my worldview to your worldview that you can account for logic, but I couldn't?
Yeah, we would say logic is just derived and consistent with the nature of God. So, for example, when we invoke something like the law of identity, we're making this statement about the nature of everything that exists, and we're saying that hey, everything in existence universally is what it is, and it could never be its negation. Now, I want to know what justification you have for invoking that. Like, how could you possibly know that
That's not a justification.
unless
Wait, you didn't just provide
what's
a
that?
justification. All you just said was that like A equals A, and it couldn't possibly be otherwise. I agreed with that, and I could have said the same thing, but that doesn't necessarily provide a justification for the supposition that that's even sort of reliable reasoning in the first place. At least from what your critique was, because you said that it was
Well,
quote unquote derived in the nature of God. So just God is logic. Is that what does that even mean?
yeah. So the predicament is on your worldview. If you want to invoke that, there's like even one universal truth. I want to know how you know, but you go much further than that, which is pretty bizarre. You're making the statement that everything that exists within the entirety of existence is what it is and could never be its negation. I don't know how you could know that unless there is a God
So
that
what you
has
said.
certain omni properties that reveal certain things about the fundamental nature of reality to you.
That
On
didn't make
those
any
terms,
sense.
it would be on those terms it would be justified. Sure, if it is the case that there is a God that exists, and this God has just the basic omni properties that we would attribute to God, just the agreed upon philosophical omni properties, and a God like that revealed to you that because He's always truth revealing, so we're going to have to go beyond. Now we're stepping into Christianity. It's an always truth revealing God because of the nature of this God always being truth revealing, that everything is what it is and can never be its negation. Created your mind in a way that it is rational, and there's coherence there between the world that is also He created to be rational because He has a plan and a purpose for mankind. I understand you don't like any of that, but that's over here. I'm showing you the cards on my system. But then when I ask you, okay, you reject all that, that's fine. Then how do you give an account for like even anything? Logic, the law of identity. How do you justify that on your terms? And I see you just avoiding the question, just like you did my metaphysical question. So is your epistemology just in shambles now, or can you answer that question?
So I don't think you've actually answered any of my questions here, and that's why
That's
I wanted to keep
posturing.
asking this. I'm not posturing. Can I please explain? So you essentially were arguing that it's derived in the nature of God. I asked you multiple times, what is it mean when you say derived in the nature of God? and then you just continued to repeat the idea that God establishes these things to be true without explaining the justification that would be separate from the justification that I could just provide about a natural set of existence.
Oh
You're
yeah.
giving no
So
argument
let me
for why
answer
God
that.
is necessary to explain
Right.
epistemological facts, facts about nature, or facts about how we live and operate, or can come to intelligent responses to things, or engage in logic. You're giving no argument that God is necessary to do that, and the argument you'd
That's
have
right.
to provide for that is that it's contradictory with atheism or with a belief in anything other than your version of God.
Yeah, no problem. So there's three things there. So the first one is when you say that you could just do it too, that's an assertion. That's what I'm asking you to do, but you say you can do it, but you haven't, and that's why I said you're posturing. I didn't mean it as an insult, okay? And so when we talk about the impossibility of the denial, it would be something like a transcendental argument for logic. We would say that if you were to reject logic, then you would necessarily have to provide a logical argument. But by doing so, you prove that logic is something that is indispensable. And it's the same with the Christian God. We'd say that the
What?
Christian God, there are certain attributes on
Wait,
this
you just said that you
framework.
need logic in order to explain logic, which obviously I
Yeah,
agree with
can
you
you
that
do
you need
that?
logic to
Okay,
explain
great.
logic, but that's not providing a secondary or proper justification for why logic is grounded under your worldview but not mine.
Yeah. So yeah, because when we say that logic is, it's impossible to deny logic. So the argument there is that there are aspects of reality
Impossible is
that it being.
presupposing logic. Because when you're talking about possibility, at least in this context, when you're saying impossible, you're saying it's illogical, right, to happen otherwise. You're presupposing logic in claiming that argument. That's not providing a secondary or beneath justification for it. It's just presupposing that you have to have consistency.
Yeah. Can you deny that though?
Wait, so if we
Can you
both have
give
to
me? Can you
presuppose,
give
if
me?
we both have to presuppose logic in order to be explain the world around us, and we don't have to presuppose a God in order to explain the world around us, what gives you
That's a
a
claim,
broad,
though.
better justification to presuppose logic just because you believe in God? Because I would see that to
Yeah,
be no
because when
argument for
you
that. If we both can agree that presupposing logic is justified, right? Well, then I have
no,
no
we don't.
issue
We
with it.
don't agree. We
Well,
don't agree. You're making a categorical error when you do that,
I'm not.
because I'm arguing logic is consistent with a different categorical worldview. See, over here on the Christian worldview, where we have a God that is always truth revealing, creates minds in a way that they can rationally understand the world that is rationally understood. And this God is a revelatory God. This God is a loving God. And so this God reveals certain things about creation to this God. On that system, these things are justified. Okay, I can the
Because he just says
circularity
so.
there is supportive, but you can deny that. But when I've asked you a metaphysical question, you failed on it. I've asked you epistemological question, you failed on it, and all I have to do now is undermine your ethical scheme, which should be very easy.
Well, you
Then we
didn't
just
do
show
any of
that your
that. You didn't do any
entire
of that. You can
worldview.
think in your head that you've done this, but you haven't. You just said that, again,
Where have you
all you said
engaged?
was that God led to rational beings existing. Okay? I could say nature led to
Yeah.
rational beings existing. That's no different. You're just giving a description for what you think happened, not a justification. You're not,
No,
what's
that's
the
called a
justification?
worldview. Yeah, it's a worldview juxtaposition. We're saying, hey, there's these two competing paradigms, at least two competing paradigms.
Hmm.
If your worldviews, we're going to say, like, if we were to try to instantiate your worldview, okay, so let's pretend all of a sudden that we're living in a world where there is no God. How do you give an account for the uniformity of nature, the rationality of your mind, universals at all? Do universals exist if all minds on earth cease to
He
exist?
just keeps
You can't
repeating the
give an
same
account for
point without
that.
actually
Right.
providing
What about
justification.
logic? Right.
All you're saying is, how do you account for
It's,
these things under
yeah,
an
that's a
atheistic
transcendental
worldview? Because you're
argument.
assuming that you can account for these things under the Christian worldview.
Yeah, that's a transcendental argument. I've already
Yeah, okay,
explained
so if
this
it's
to
just an
you. I'm
assumption, then
sorry
how
that you're
could
not
wait,
familiar
wait,
with
if
this,
your
but I've
argument
actually
wait, so
sufficiently
let me
given you an
clarify.
argument
I
that
am
you cannot
familiar.
rebut
If
it.
your argument is just you
Doesn't
presuppose it, well
seem
then
like
how are
it.
you going to argue that we can't account for something because we presuppose it?
I wish you would. Yeah, I wish you would. I wish you would. I wish you would actually engage with the argument by saying, "Hey, no,
I
check it
have.
out. I have
I
a
have.
rational
You're the one who's
worldview."
not actually engaging with my
Wait,
points.
what? Wait,
Because
what have you?
You are
I'm
presupposing
sorry.
that is logically contradictory under any other explanation for the world for us to account for reason, logic, and any other sort of position in terms of rational beings existing. That's an absurd
Yeah,
worldview. You have to justify that there's something contradictory. I've already told you this, something contradictory about
yeah, I'll do
atheism
that.
and there being a justification for rational beings, or the atheism and rational beings. That's the
Yeah,
justification you have to provide, because you said it is impossible to account for these things if
that's
you
right.
hold under an atheistic worldview or any worldview that doesn't assume the particular Christian God's existence.
Yeah, the contradiction is pretty simple. The contradiction is an implicit affirmation of the preconditions of intelligibility, and then an explicit rejection of them. That's the contradiction.
What,
So
what was the
your
rejection?
worldview, your worldview, you continue to say that you can justify these things, but you've not even attempted to justify one. Now, I'll remind you with the two
Wait,
questions
wait,
that are
wait, wait. No,
currently
hold up,
on the
hold up, hold up.
table.
You said the
Can I
affirmation and
finish
then
my
not
thought?
affirming. So I believe it to be true
Right,
and false simultaneously. When did I assert that the
right.
preconditions for intelligibility are false and don't actually exist?
Right. Yeah, explicitly. It's like this. There's two questions on the table. I've given you one question regarding your metaphysical scheme, and that is, what is it that you can present and defend that dictates possibility and impossibility? Okay. And the second one is
It's
your
logic.
epistemology. I asked you, how do you justify the law of identity,
Still
for
waiting to hear a
example?
response to what I questioned. What I questioned. When did I
So
say
you're
that I don't
posturing.
affirm
There's
the
two
preconditions for
questions on the table.
intelligibility?
Right, because you have nothing to put in those categories that you can defend.
Wait, no. So it's
If you
not an
don't
no.
have
So if
anything,
your
look, this
argument
is
is
really
that I can't
simple.
affirm the preconditions for intelligibility, that doesn't
No,
mean that
that's
I
not the
claimed
argument.
that there is no affirmation of the preconditions for intelligibility. What are you saying?
Look, look, so first of all, settle down and listen to me a little bit.
I am.
Okay? Implicitly, it's something, you can affirm things implicitly, right?
Yes.
Okay, right. So implicitly, when you predicate, when you speak intelligibly, when you pretend that you live in a world where there is no God, you are implying that this fictional worldview that you've created can satisfy those preconditions. That's an implicit affirmation. But when I ask you explicitly, what do you put in your metaphysical category? How do you answer this epistemological question? You give me nothing, 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 nothing. Okay?
Wait, so not
That's it.
providing a
That's the
justification
contradiction.
for
That's A
that's not a
and not A.
contradiction.
You affirm A, but
That's
you
not a
have no A.
contradiction. That's not a contradiction. So
Sure it is.
let me
Sure it is.
clarify.
Because
Let me clarify.
I'll show.
When
No,
I am
listen.
asserting,
No, this is
right? But listen, when I'm affirming that we have certain preconditions for intelligibility, such as, like, again, you're just saying that we have the ability to come to logical conclusions about the world around us. Again, there are presuppositions of being able to interpret the world around you that rely upon this for
are those
everyone.
Christian?
And this is
Are
also
those
true for the
Christian
Christian world. This
presuppositions?
is also true for the Christian worldview, because in order to interpret a revelation from God, you also have to rely on the exact same preconditions, right, without being able to establish that through the context of Christianity yet, in order to be able to accept the preconditions of revelation.
Categorical error
Well,
again.
that's
That's
not a
another
categorical error.
categorical
No,
error.
it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's
So
not. No, it's not. Let me also keep
look,
going. Let me keep going. Also, again, there's
you're
nothing
gish
different about
galloping.
a Christian worldview that allows for you to establish the preconditions for logic any more than the preconditions for under the context of an atheistic
Yeah.
worldview. You provided no argument for that. Can I
Yeah,
please
that's a
keep going with this?
categorical
Hold
error.
up. Let me
That's a
please keep
too
going.
cool. Okay,
Let me please
you're
keep
gish
going.
galloping, though. You gish
How?
galloping. Because look at this is really simple. I asked you if you engage with the argument implicitly, you are affirming A. Okay, the preconditions of the preconditions of intelligibility. But when
Yeah,
I
I
ask
think.
you to
Hey, I
actually
think that
put something, when I ask
we
you,
are all
why do you
assuming
continue to
that
interrupt me?
logic is true. That's all
No,
of
we're
our
not. That's
assumptions.
again, that is you're making a
Yes, it
categorical
is.
error. I've pointed this out to you now 4 times. This is a sloppy
How is
error.
it a
When
category
I
error?
ask you to put something in those categories, you have nothing.
Wait, how
Therefore,
is it a
you
category
you
error? That's not
must
a category error. What do you mean?
no.
Just
It's a
because I don't have an explanation for why,
dude. You're getting
wait,
emotional and you're not
I'm
paying
not
attention
emotional. Just
here.
because I don't have
I'm dealing with
a
2 points.
justification doesn't provide anything. Because
Point
we're just talking about the fact that there is going to be an assumption that there's going to be an accurate prescription in terms of logic, and I think that same thing is existing under your worldview. What particularly
categorical error
are
right
you
there.
saying?
That's a
Okay, so then
category error.
are you saying that the only thing that you fit in there is just God? So just saying God means that you can justify it, but you
Well,
gave no argument
I'm
for
not
why
merely just
God
saying God.
justifies it.
Are you? nervous to let me speak? Because you've interrupted me now every time I've tried to answer you. You've
Okay.
got two
You're crashing out.
questions
It's
on the
okay.
table.
I haven't interrupted you every time. That's obviously ridiculous.
Well, one of us is crashing out. I've
That
got
was
2 points on the table. Okay, that's you interrupting again. I've got 2 points on the table that I'd like to address. Okay. The first point is that you implicitly affirm the preconditions, but when I ask you to present something and defend it, you can't. That's a
That's not a
denial of it.
contradiction.
Okay. Just because you don't.
That's not a
No,
contradiction.
that's yes, it is.
No, it
That's
isn't.
an affirmation
No, it isn't.
and a denial.
No, it's not. It's not a denial. No, there's no denial of the preconditions. It's just a lack of justification for the preconditions.
No, I
So,
don't think you understand
that doesn't
this.
mean you deny
There
it.
is
Having a
nothing-
lack of justification for it does not mean you deny it.
Right. You don't understand.
Like,
There
for
is
example,
nothing
I have a
within
lack of
your-
a justification
there
for a
is
deist
nothing
god's
within
existence.
your-
I have a lack of a justification for a deist god's existence. That doesn't mean I deny the deist god's existence.
This is really bad for you. If you
Really?
were to
'Cause, I mean, I
engage
think that
with
was
the
pretty clear.
argument- Yeah, well, that's actually false because you do affirm a worldview. There are entailments to your failing to acknowledge that the fundamental nature of reality is a mind.
Everyone
You have a
affirms logic
worldview.
presuppositionally.
Well, yeah, but you can't justify it, and you
Can
have
you?
no argument to
Can
say.
you?
Yes, I have
What
already
is it?
done that.
You just say God.
You've
Saying
already-
God is not justification.
But you're crashing out. You got to let
I'm
me
not
finish
crashing
my
out.
thought.
I'm just repeating the same argument.
I get it.
I know
This
you have
is
to
hard
brand
for
me
you.
as
You gotta
crashing
let me-
out because you have no actual arguments against me. It's embarrassing.
Well, I've given you the argument. Whether or not you accept my systematic is fine. But when I ask you to instantiate yours, you have to deny them. That's why you can say,
No,
well,
I
I
didn't.
didn't answer. I don't know. I can punt to mystery. But because
never denied
there
it.
is nothing.
When did I
because
deny
there is
logic?
because there is nothing within your worldview that you can present and defend, that is the negation of the preconditions which you implicitly affirm.
No,
He cannot be. Yeah,
stop.
this is really simple
So
stuff.
let me give you my argument
This
from
is
before.
really simple
Let me
stuff.
give you my
That's-
argument from
that's the
before.
contradiction.
I don't have evidence. I lack evidence to believe. I lack justification to believe a deist
You
God
could never
exists.
defend that.
Listen,
You could never defend
I lacked
that.
justification.
begging the question,
I lacked.
Brad.
No, I'm not. I lacked
Yeah,
justification
that
for.
begs the question.
Can I please finish without you cutting me off? I lack justification.
Yeah.
I
None
lack
of us
justification for a deist God's existence. Does that mean I deny the deist God's existence?
Yeah, so you could never defend that there is no evidence. And first of all, I thought I made it very clear that I'm
I'm
a
waiting.
Christian.
Direct
I made
response.
it very clear that I made it very clear that I'm a Christian. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
And
not
so-
asking you
but yeah,
about that.
there
I
is
never
a
said you were a
negation there.
deist.
You have begged the question by presupposing or assuming that you are living in a world where everything does not stand in a causal relationship that began with the mind of God. If you don't have an argument for that, then you could never defend that there is no evidence of God. That's just another one of your reckless assertions. It seems like that's all you can do. Okay? I've given you my justification for logic, the laws of logic. I've not heard yours. I've given you my justification
haven't.
for saying, hey, there's something out there that dictates possibility and impossibility. I've not heard yours. All I hear you do is make assertions and continue to make categorical errors. Can you do any better?
Okay, I think you're gonna watch this back later, and you're gonna realize that you were doing that this whole time. I think you genuinely need to think about this for a second.
Give an argument,
You're not
bud.
actually, again, when I'm
You're
making a
dodging.
claim that I don't have evidence for a particular, you're actually ignoring me at this point.
You're
When I
dodging.
don't have, when I acknowledge that I don't have evidence or justification to believe in a deist God,
You
does that
could
mean?
not defend that?
Can I please ask you the question
I
without you
already
crashing out?
addressed that.
You,
You're
no, you're
literally
not. I've
repeating
literally, I've
yourself.
had to ask this question multiple times because you won't answer it. Stop crashing out. I'd love to let me
What's the-
answer the.
directly
I'd love to let.
answer-
I'd love if you'd let me
directly ask
answer
the
the
question.
or ask the question, please.
Directly ask the question.
Okay. If I believe that there's a lack of evidence or justification for a deist God's existence, does that mean that I believe the deist God does not exist?
So first of all, we are not talking about deism.
I
don't
am right
care
now.
how
I
you
asked you a
answer
direct
that
question. You see how you just
I'm not
won't
a deist.
answer the direct question? I never
I am
said you
not a
were.
deist.
I never once said
Yeah.
you were.
Yeah. Well, it depends. Yeah, this is sloppy. It depends on what type of
like so-
property.
No, it doesn't.
It depends on what. Yeah, if
What
if
is this guy saying, dude? Dude, I
This is
believe
really
that there is a
simple.
lack of
Settle down,
evidence
bud.
for a deist God's existence. Does that mean I don't
not sure
believe
why
that?
you're giggling.
Listen. I think there's a lack of evidence that the deist gods exist. Does that mean I believe the deist god doesn't exist?
If we're talking about like a demigod, then yeah, those would be justified, okay? But if we're talking
What?
about that which is the source of all contingency, you cannot be neutral about that,
What is this guy
okay?
saying?
Just the mere fact that you are
What is this guy
invoking a
saying?
worldview.
What
Are
are you
you not
saying right now?
understanding?
I asked you a direct question. If I believe that there's a lack of evidence for a deist god's existence, does that mean I believe it doesn't exist? No, it obviously doesn't mean I believe it doesn't exist. It just means I don't have
No,
evidence
you've
to
not
believe it to
thought
be
this through,
true.
bud. No, you've not thought this through. If the claim of this deist God, which is again why I don't know we're even talking about deism. This is just you dodging. But if the claim of this deist, if the claim of that you're invoking this deistic God is that it is like a fundamental non-contingent being, then yeah, you can assert your innocence just like a prisoner, okay? But the entailment of your invoking a naturalistic system would be an implicit denial of that God. So yeah, you could
What? Wait,
explicitly
deism
deny.
isn't entailing
Do you know
natural.
the difference between do you know the difference between
Wait,
explicit and
a deist
implicit?
god is a god? Wait, you're still
You
not understanding
dodge
my point.
every question.
Dude, it's actually embarrassing because that's what you've been doing. Watch this back. Like
This
it's
is
actually so
yeah,
embarrassing. Why are you saying
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Why are you saying I'm dodging when you literally
When
can't answer this
okay, great,
basic
great,
question?
great.
Obviously, if
Let's
I don't have evidence for something, that doesn't mean I believe it doesn't exist.
That's
So
not a
when you're
claim you can
claiming that
defend,
I am
though.
affirming a contradiction, that is absurd. It is absurd. Genuinely, you are not actually
No, I've
providing a good
already
argument.
explained it.
You need
I've
to
already
actually
explained it
think
to you,
about what
bud.
you're saying before you say it.
You're dodging. Watch. Well, I'll engage with your red herring because you're so desperate here.
Yeah, just say a
If by
million things and
deistic
maybe something will stick.
stop posturing. If by
That's what you're doing.
deistic God, are you invoking like a demigod, a God that exists within creation, or or are you invoking a deistic God that upholds and sustains all things, that created all things, and everything would therefore be evidence of this God? What are you invoking when you invoke this mysterious God? Be specific.
Okay, so to clarify, I'm not even saying I believe this. I
This
am
is
just
another
telling you.
dodge. Answer the
Listen, I'm
question.
trying to clarify. I'm just trying to
Dodge,
clarify.
duck, dip, dive. You've not answered a single question. Are you
I'm
invoking
directly
a
going to answer.
demigod or are you invoking a non-contingent ultimate God?
Yeah, so I'll clarify everything. This is a necessary state, meaning it's true in all possible worlds, right? It's eternal, and it's a personal being that caused the universe into existence. That's all I'm saying it is, okay? Okay? And none of that is saying that I'm believing in this. I just brought this up to clearly demonstrate to you that I don't have reason to believe this. I don't have evidence to believe this, but I'm not negating its existence and saying it doesn't exist just because I lack evidence. Okay? That would actually be a logical fallacy. Just because something lacks evidence does not necessarily mean that it's false, right? It means that you don't have reason to accept it to be true, but it does not mean that it's false. So again, when we make the argument earlier that I was negating logic's existence while also simultaneously upholding it because I didn't have an argument to justify why we would accept logic outside of imposing logic or coherence within the argument, well then all you're not understanding is that, again, I believe every single person has to presuppose logic in order to be able to get to this point. I don't believe it's different predicated off of whether or not you are religious. I don't think that
That's
gives you
just a
any greater
statement of
account for it.
ignorance, Parker.
You
And
do you
I
have
noticed that
the
you
inability
muted
to
me
let me speak and to not cut me
to
off?
cope. You're gish galloping.
Okay,
Parker,
well, just
I want
you
you,
can just keep
I
saying that
want
if you'd
you,
like,
yeah, can I get just another
if that
thought
makes
out?
you feel better.
I want your audience to notice that instead of arguing for his worldview, he's throwing up all of these red herrings. And I've even said I don't care about discussing deism. I'm not a deist, he's not a deist. This is Parker desperately dodging. Okay. Now, on those terms, on your hypothetical dodge, if we're talking about a God that created all things, then everything would be evidence of that God, regardless of your mental states. Your mental states, you can explicitly state that you're ignorant or whatever those might be. But when we're talking about the true state of affairs, either everything would be evidence of that God or not. So if you don't have an argument as to how you know everything is not evidence of God, then you could never defend that silly statement you made that there is no evidence of God. This is your sloppy reasoning. Now, would you like to engage with that, or do you want to keep coping and dodging and blabbering? Do you want to engage with that? Engage with that.
I don't think everything is evidence of God.
Didn't
I
ask
don't
for your
think that.
mental state.
Yeah,
We're
I know.
talking about
Let
the
me speak.
true state of
It's
affairs.
okay. You're crashing out. It's okay. Let me
Yeah,
speak.
we're talking about the true state of
Turn
affairs.
the
You're
other
just being
cheek.
arbitrary.
Just turn the other cheek. Just turn the other cheek.
You're just being arbitrary,
Hey,
Parker.
just turn the other cheek. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, we're just being arbitrary now. You can say,
Can
I
I
just don't
speak, or are
think
you
it
just
is.
gonna
Well, I
keep
can
doing
just
this?
say,
You're
really think
supposed
it
to
is.
turn the other cheek right now.
This is so silly.
You're supposed to turn the other cheek.
So actually, I don't. So this is you
No,
dodging.
don't turn the other
This is
cheek.
you dodging. Yeah, Parker, why don't you deal with the argument? I'm not asking
I
for
will
your
if you let me
opinion
speak.
or your disposition towards all things. I want
If
an
you're done crashing out,
argument
I'll let him finish crashing out.
that is independent from your mental state. I want to know how you determine that you either are or are not living in a world that was created by God. I'm not asking for your opinion. Nobody cares about your opinion. What's the argument? That's your cue, buddy.
I
Google,
think that I
phone a
think
friend. You want to phone a friend?
I think logic actually disproves the existence of
I
God
think.
in
I
the
think.
Christian religion, and I think that's the basis of my position. Obviously, when I'm describing my positions, I'm going to reference things that I believe to be the case. I know that makes you very mad and very angry, but it's
Yeah, that's more
okay, and
dodging.
everything is going to be
You
okay.
can't
I
answer it.
promise you that. So let me please
So
finish.
you didn't
Yeah,
answer my
you can't
question.
stop cutting me off. I'm still finishing.
Okay, go ahead. Keep
Would you
dodging,
like to
bud.
ask the question again?
Yeah, this is really clear. Either you have an argument that's independent from your mental state. So when you start saying, I think, like nobody cares about your opinion. That's just your arrogance. Either you have an argument as to how you know, independent from your mental state, that you either are living in God's world or are not. I want an argument like that. If you don't have that argument, then you could never defend the silly thing that you atheists continue to say, that you're living in a world where there is no God. So what is your argument, Parker? Be clear. Be clear. Don't start off with
I think this is the best argument. Listen. I think this is the best
I
argument.
have an
Take a listen
opinion.
in.
I have an opinion. That's all you say.
Listen to
is
this.
so
Listen to
goofy.
this. I think this is a really good argument. This is really pissing him off. It's so funny.
Yeah, I
So
think.
again,
Yeah.
God is perfect, correct?
I could be an atheist asking this question. I could say, Parker, you and I are both atheists. We really want
He's
to
not going to
pretend
respond,
there's
is
no
he?
God. So what argument do we have that we
I'm
are
trying to
not
give you the
living in
argument right
God's
now.
world?
I'm trying to give
That
you the
doesn't
argument right
begin
now.
with I think. Well,
Hey,
questions are not
hey, dude.
arguments.
Hey, dude. I asked
So
you.
I'm an atheist.
I have
You're
to
an
establish
atheist.
I have to establish
What
these
do we do,
points
Parker?
to run through the argument. So this is just
Yeah, I
basic
can
core
be an
things you have to
atheist.
establish.
Oh my
Are you
gosh, this
okay?
is so silly. We're not even, yeah, so pretend we're both atheists, pretending there's no God, okay? We're both silly atheists, and we say, hey, we think there's no God. But the problem is, if our argument begins with I think, then the theist can just say, well, I think too. Then what do? Rock, paper, scissors? This is goofy. I want an argument. I want to know demonstrably how you either know you are living in God's world or not.
Yeah.
Don't begin it with I think.
Do you believe God is perfect?
I can be an atheist.
I'm
Remember that?
I'm asking you
Questions are
because
not
I'm trying
arguments.
to internally critique your own worldview. Is that okay?
Yeah, this is you dodging again. Parker, you are one of the lousiest
He
atheists
wants
on
me to give an
TikTok.
argument, and then he literally won't even follow through with the argument. I know you're shaking in your boots and
No,
you don't want
I
to
can be
actually
an
answer,
atheist.
but you have to
Questions?
establish these points so that we can go through the argument. I promise you,
Okay.
I'm giving you an argument. I just need you to answer these basic core questions
Yeah,
so I can
yeah.
provide the internal critique. Is that okay?
Yeah. So just no problem, but just to be clear, just so everyone's clear, your audience is clear, everyone is clear. Parker has no freaking argument at all. If I'm an atheist, he's got no argument. Let's just say that I
So I'm an agnostic atheist. It means I don't have an explanation for the world that came prior to the Big Bang. I don't know what it is. I don't have a worldview to then even claim this caused the universe. Okay? That's not my position. I'm an agnostic atheist. You are the one positively asserting a God exists. I am now trying
Wait,
to
you don't have a
internally
worldview.
critique your worldview to show you you
Okay.
don't have reason to accept your own worldview. If you want to engage with that,
Yeah.
you can choose to do that, but you're
Yeah, I
acting
would
like a
like to.
child right now, and you're claiming victory without even trying to actually engage with my points. You are
Yeah,
literally so
actually, you're the
childish.
one.
Actually respond.
Yeah,
I'm
so yeah,
waiting.
no problem. We'll engage with your argument, but as far as you accusing me of being childish, you've not answered any of my questions.
I
You've
promise
dodged
you I am doing
everything,
that.
and
I've been doing that
you've
this
now
whole time.
muted me
Actually
multiple
respond to this whole
times.
point.
But go ahead,
Respond, please. At this
go
point,
ahead. You've
respond.
muted me multiple times, but yeah,
And you
go
can
ahead.
cry about it later. You
Make
can
your
cry
argument.
about it later.
Yeah,
Respond. Now
yeah.
give me a response. Is God
Okay.
perfect? Yes or no?
Yes, within the Christian worldview, God is perfect, and
Perfect.
there is no other ethical system by which
Okay,
perfect
I didn't ask you
can
for any
be
more than that. I didn't ask you for any more than that.
assessed.
I asked if God is perfect. That's all I asked.
God is
Okay,
perfect.
perfect. Does that mean that you're flawless and that you don't have any traits in which are undesirable or lack desirability?
No, that doesn't follow.
Okay, so what does perfect mean?
Perfect would be that which is consistent with the mind of God.
Okay,
God would be
meaning
the
that there are
standard of perfection.
meaning that there's
That
no
God would be the
flaw.
standard of perfection. So we just stepped into ethics, right? So now we're because remember, let me answer your question, Parker. Settle down. So when it came to your nothing, that got wiped out. When it came to your epistemology, that got wiped out. Even though you're making logical arguments without a foundation, because you don't have a worldview according to you, because you've never
He's
thought
going
this
to make
through.
a million
But now
claims
you want to
instead of
step into
responding to my
ethics with
point.
me. Right.
You
No,
see how
this
he's
is,
just like,
want to
this
make
is
sure,
just
and you're just
ridiculous,
tuning
dude.
in as up to speed. So, yeah, so now we're into ethics. So, yeah, so God would be the standard of perfection. If you don't like that, because you're like, I don't believe in God, then I
We're
need
literally
you
just
to
trying to get to
invoke
the argument. We can't even do it
an
because he's got
ethical
to like add
system.
this all a little commentary, dude. This is embarrassing.
Yeah, so God would be the standard of perfection. I get it. You're coping right now. Do you have another standard of perfection?
I'm just
Is there
trying to
another standard of
establish that you believe
perfection?
God is perfect just to run the argument, and we can't even do this. I'm not even claiming anything. Okay?
Yeah,
Shut the
yeah,
fuck up and
God is
listen.
perfect.
Okay?
Yeah, God.
Hey, shut up and listen.
Ooh, settle down, buddy. Calm down, calm down. You're losing your composure. Don't do that. You've got so many viewers right now, and you're
It's
literally
okay. Turn the
melting
other cheek.
down.
It's okay. Turn the other cheek.
Okay, yes, that's fine. Okay,
What is this
let's hear your
performative?
lousy
These are
argument.
such This is straight virtue signaling. It's so embarrassing. Like, can I actually
I'm
go through the
waiting.
argument? I have yet to be able to go through the argument. All you've done is just try to ad hom me this whole time, bro. Actually, give me a
Oh, so you
fucking
can cry about it
basis or
later.
response
Remember
to what
you
I'm
said
saying.
that?
I'm trying to
Cry
give
about
you
it
the
later.
argument. You're not even trying to engage with the argument, and you're projecting this entire argument.
So, can I be precise, or you just want me to be sloppy, like you?
I want you to respond
Is
to my
God
points.
is God perfect? Yes. Is there another standard of perfection? No. So God is perfect, right? That's where we're at. I'm not. I'm every bad thing. I'm a lousy Christian. I'm a hypocrite. That's why I need a
I don't even
savior.
think
That's
it's
why
possible to have a conversation with this guy. Like, genuinely, is
I'm
it?
waiting. Oh no, don't do that,
I'm
buddy.
really trying to. Like, I'm trying. If you'd like to actually like let me do so, I would love to have the
Okay,
conversation with you. But you're acting like an
go
absolute
ahead.
child right now, dude.
God is perfect. Stop, Parker. Be better. God is
Yeah,
perfect.
of course.
What's next?
Okay.
What's next?
So I just
There are
had
a
to
lot of
establish
people
what you
watching.
mean by
What's
perfect. We have
next?
yet to do that yet because you keep just talking and saying random shit. Like, I genuinely,
Yeah.
like, I just want to
Oh, I'll
talk
do
about
it
this.
again for like the
So in
third
terms of
time. So
perfection, okay, you said
perfection.
everything. I didn't ask you. Let me please finish. You said everything in accordance specifically with God. Okay, so that would
That's
mean
right.
that it
God's
wouldn't
nature.
fail to meet God's preferences, right? And it wouldn't
Yeah, this
lack
is
God's preferences. That's just a
right. Are you
basis.
trying to? Yeah. So perfection is that which is consistent with the nature of God. There would be no standard above and beyond God, and it wouldn't be arbitrary from God's perspective, Him just saying one thing or another. So it would be that which is consistent with the nature of God. I don't want to say too much and have you crash more. Just does that work, or do you want me? Are we good? Continue running your argument. I just want to make sure that you don't strawman me to death.
So to clarify, a flaw would be just like something God considers as wrong or would not be in accordance or consistent with His nature, and then also like a lack of desirability would mean that it's still also not consistent with God's nature. Can we at least
Yeah, well,
clarify
we would
that?
call Yeah, we would call what you're calling a flaw on Christianity. I believe, we would be referring to what we would call a sin, which would,
Yeah,
would be a deviation from God's perfect plan.
which is not consistent with the nature of God, correct?
No, well, so just Parker, do you understand? Like your parents have a perfect plan for you, and a permissive will for you, right? Like your parents, maybe they want you to be a doctor, but you don't make your bed every day, and they want you to, and so you fail them in those respects, but they still love you. Okay, God
Okay.
has a perfect will and a permissive will. God has a perfect will for all of our lives, that we repent and be reconciled, but he understands that people like you don't want to do that, at least yet, and he will permit you to make these lousy arguments from an incoherent worldview because he loves you. He doesn't want to judge you yet.
I would
But
go
go
to
ahead,
hell if it means not
continue your
being
argument.
anywhere around Geo. But if you
Well,
want to
yeah,
talk
you
about
say
sin,
that's
hold up,
cute.
let
You
me
might
make my
get your
argument.
wish.
Let me make my argument. Sin is
I wish you would.
if you're saying sin is consistent with the nature of God, is that your argument here?
No, inconsistent. It would be a deviation from
So it's
God's
inconsistent.
perfect
So to
will.
clarify, sin is inconsistent with the nature of God.
No, it's not inconsistent.
Okay, so
So do you
I don't know what
understand?
you're trying to say at this point then.
Right. God has a perfect will and a permissive will. Sin is a deviation from God's perfect will, but it's not inconsistent because God has a plan for his creatures like you and me, where we're going to fail continually. So it's not inconsistent.
Dude, I'm like, I
That's
didn't ask
part of
for you
his
to
plan.
preach. I didn't ask for you to
This is
preach. I
good. I
asked
mean,
for a
this is just
response to my
basic.
question, dude.
That's
I know
fine.
you want to
That's fine.
preach. You want to preach and you want to bring up
Right.
everything you possibly can. I
No,
get
you want
it.
sloppy. You
I
want sloppy,
understand.
right? You want
I just want you
sloppy.
to
I
respond to my
forgot.
questions. Okay?
Yeah, you want
Right.
sloppy, right? You want a
Is
sloppy straw
sin
man?
consistent or inconsistent with the nature of God?
Sin is consistent with God's permissive will. Yes. God permits us to sin, Parker.
Okay.
He
So,
does. He's like, Parker, I'm going to let you make goofy statements on the internet and not judge you. Not yet. So it's
okay.
not inconsistent. So what's your argument? Where's your argument, Parker?
Okay, so
You
when
want
we
to
say,
repent yet, or you want to keep being silly atheist? What do you want to do?
dude, you're so embarrassing. You
I'm
make
waiting
your
for the
okay. I'm just gonna
argument.
let you know. You acting this way does not bring more people towards your worldview. It
Well,
pulls
I'm
people
just,
away from your
yeah,
worldview.
yeah. Well, I don't
If
think
you
so. I
actually
don't
want to
think
pull
so.
more people towards your worldview, I wouldn't act like this. I've been
Yeah,
incredibly
Parker,
nice to
this is
you,
just more
and you're just
arbitrariness from
consistently
you.
cut offerable this entire
Sure.
conversation. Okay?
Yeah, let
I
me know
want to
when
be
you're
able to
done.
make this argument. I want to be able to go through this. So you're saying
I'm
that
waiting.
sin is inconsistent with the nature of God in terms of his overall will, but he allows
That's
for
right.
it to occur, right?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. That works.
Okay, so it's still considered a flaw under his perspective.
Correct. It's a deviation from his perfect will. Sure. That's why we're going to give an account for it.
Okay, nice. Deviation from
Right.
perfect will. All right, let me
That's
just
right.
establish that. Okay, so
Okay, establish that.
there is sin within our world, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Absolutely. You're unrepentant, aren't you?
God intentionally caused the universe and the world, right?
Correct.
Okay, He wanted to create the world, right?
That's right. Yes, and he
Okay,
will allow you to sin and suffer the consequences.
okay. So to clarify, um, the world we exist in is imperfect, correct?
Currently, yes.
Okay.
Currently, yes.
Imperfect creation, and God's existence was
No, no, no.
perfect.
Well, yeah, yeah. Currently, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, at
Yeah,
any point in time,
currently.
it being imperfect would mean as a whole it's imperfect, to clarify.
Yeah, currently, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
God created everything and it was good. And
So can I
when
clarify?
people like you and me sin, we mess it all up. That's why
Okay,
he's going to judge us. Yeah, because we mess it up.
can't wait. So, yeah, if you wanna reference this again, in terms of this, God's a perfect creator, meaning when he existed
That's
alone,
right.
everything was consistent with his nature,
Oh, I don't know
everything
what
was
you mean by
good.
alone.
Yeah, I meant like prior to creation, because God's
Yeah, like
eternal.
within the Trinity. Yeah, I mean, there was always two other persons. But yeah, I get what
Yeah,
you're saying.
you know what
We're
I'm
just
saying.
being precise. Is that okay? Or you
That's
just want
fine.
sloppy?
I mean,
Okay.
I mean, I don't think the Trinity makes any sense. We can, it's a whole separate argument, but
Yeah,
the
well, we can discuss. I can correct you there too. That's no problem, Parker. I got you today, dude.
okay,
Good. We're good.
yeah, okay, sure. So again, the whole point I'm trying to make is that prior to creation, It's God with the Trinity existing alone. Everything's
That's right.
perfect. There's nothing about the world that is not consistent with his will. There's nothing about the world in which is flawed. There's nothing in which lacks desirability.
Correct.
Okay, to clarify that. Okay, if nothing lacks desirability, if everything is perfect, there's no sins in the world, there's no flaws, right? You're telling me that God chose to go from a state in which that
Well,
existed to a state in which there's God plus creation, which entails that there's sin, there's flaws, there's things that are inconsistent with the nature of God. So again, you're telling me then that God preferred being inconsistent with the nature of God to being consistent with the nature of God in terms of the state of
no,
all
you're
existence.
invoking, yeah, so yeah, so the problem here, there's two problems here. One is you're invoking sin as though it has like an ontology, as opposed to being a deviation from God's perfect will. Okay. Within God's perfect will, there is creation and creatures that will sin. So you're trying to like bake in this premise that I never accepted, why that somehow this is inconsistent.
Oh, you
So
didn't
I'm not
you
sure like
seemingly
where you
don't know what
got this.
you don't know what you were committing yourself to. So you agree that there was a lack of desirability or no lack of desirability when
Well,
God
I mean,
existed
I
alone.
think that
Do you agree with
uh
that? You said that?
well, yes and no. I mean, it depends on what we mean. Are we talking about like,
Oh.
yeah, God desired to create, so there
Oh,
there
so
was a
then there was a
desire
lack of
there. Yeah.
desirability. So it wasn't flawless.
I'm not sure how creation somehow entails that there is a flaw before creation. Can you
Well, it
unpack that
means
for
that
me?
there wasn't a desirable thing actualized, right? There was a lack of desirability.
So did that somehow change the nature of God?
Well, you would say that in this
That's what you're
context,
going to need to show, right? How did that change the nature of God?
yeah, because it's inconsistent with the nature of God to have any type of flaws, right? Or any type of
No,
sins.
but again, so yeah, again,
So
you're
wouldn't
you're
you
you're
wouldn't you
invoking.
say wait? So being consistent with the nature of God is preferable to being inconsistent with the nature of God, correct?
I'm not sure I understood what you just said.
Being
I
consistent with
think
the
that
nature of
you're
God is preferable to being inconsistent with the nature of God, correct?
Yeah, so remember, God has within God's nature, there is a perfect will and a permissive will, right? And so sin doesn't have an ontology. So if you're saying that like from eternity past, God's nature was a certain way and somehow creation changed that, there are certain accidental properties that might have changed, but that doesn't mean that essential properties change. You know the difference between those two things?
I want to answer my question first.
I hear you typing. Can you type up? Can you ask? You want to just phone a friend? So there's a
No,
difference
no,
between
the
there's a
typing is
difference
me
between an
writing down
essential.
notes. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, the typing is me
No,
writing down
it's
notes
okay. It's okay.
so that I can re-ask you the same question after because you didn't answer the question. So I wrote down being consistent with the nature of God is preferable to being inconsistent with the nature of God. That's the question I asked you. You didn't answer the question, so I wrote it down so I don't forget it after you yap about a bunch of random shit. So that's actually the reason I wrote it down. Like instead of answering the question.
Parker, you got to stop muting me, bud. It's really silly.
Well, then you got to stop
So
acting like a
Parker, do
child
you
on my live
understand?
stream and like speaking whenever you feel like it, even in the middle of my sentence, when you're not even actually creating a better productive flow of the
Parker,
conversation or actually trying to get us to stay on topic of what we were prior talking about it. You were simply just doing that in order to be able to take away from the productive capacity and flow of this conversation. Again, I'll re-ask the question. Being consistent with the nature of God is preferable to being inconsistent with the nature of God, correct?
yeah, it would be preferable to be consistent with the perfect will of God as opposed to God's permissive will. Now,
Okay.
Parker, I asked
So,
you a question.
so wait, let me please
Parker, I asked
finish.
you. I asked you a
Am
question,
I able
Parker.
to
You just
finish my
went on.
argument without you
No,
asking some
Yeah,
random
yeah. I
obscure
know. I know. I
question?
just want to make sure, Parker. Hold on. You just accused me of all kinds of stuff, rhetoric, right? Now you're literally doing the same thing. Don't be a hypocrite, Parker. Do you understand the difference between an essential property and an accidental property? Can you tell me what those would be?
Yeah, an essential property is going to be something fundamental that has always existed, that is necessary to exist in all cases. Whereas I think what you're trying to reference with an accidental would be that it could be otherwise.
Yeah. So like
So what you
Like
really
you
mean
could
is
change,
dependent
so like
versus
you could
independent,
change, yeah, like you could change your
or
hair.
necessary and contingent.
Yeah, you could change your hair and still be Parker. Okay, because that would be like a accidental property.
Yeah,
So in
it's
the
a
same way,
characteristic that can be
you can
differently.
have a
Yes.
God, right? In the same way, like this is a lousy
This
argument.
has
In the
nothing to
same
do with my
way, you can
argument at all.
have no. Well, it is. I'll explain why right now. In the same way, you can have a God that has a perfect will prior to creation. God creates. There's nothing about his essential property that changed by allowing free creatures to sin. Okay? There's nothing about that. So in order for you to drive your argument home, you're going to need to show somehow, Parker, that creation somehow changed God's essential property as opposed to his consequential, or I'm sorry, as opposed to his accidental properties. Do you have an argument there? Or is this just some lousy argument you got while you were typing away? Do you
Yeah, so
have that
I'm gonna
for me?
repeat the argument I was going through, and I want you to let me finish, because this whole thing you keep doing
This
this,
is
where you just yap
frustrating so
about
hard right
random
now.
shit that doesn't even relate to the conversation,
Hey, hey,
is
hey,
a little
hey,
bit
hey, you don't need to
annoying.
cuss. You don't need to
So
calm
can
down,
we at
buddy.
least get a response?
You're doing
You
so
agreed.
good. You got almost 4,000 people watching you right now. You were doing so good. You don't need to crash out. But does this mean you're going to dodge again? Because I asked you a question, and it seems like always, every single question I've asked
I
you,
actually
dodge.
originally asked you the question, and
Every
you used this to
single
dodge. Like, I
question.
still have not been able to even argue my
Every
point.
single
I even
question.
answered your question. I answered specifically what was the difference between an essential property and an accidental
Oh,
property. Can I
you're
please
right.
finish
You're
my
right.
point?
I'll give you that. I'll give you that
So
point. I'll give you
dishonest.
that
What is
point.
this
You
rage
got
bait?
me. No, no, no. I corrected myself. You got me there. You were
Okay.
100% right there, Parker. You did type up and answer that question, and that's good on you. It's actually wise for you to type it up and answer. Go ahead. What's the argument?
Yeah, so I wrote down what I had to say because you keep yapping about random stuff instead
I
of
know.
responding to my point. So I wrote it down just to make sure that we stay on topic. You
That's
agreed
posturing.
that being
I'm directly
Stop
engaging.
talking, dude. Be quiet, dude.
Let's go.
Are you rage baiting? Is
Let's
this like
go. Yeah. No.
dude? Like you are probably genuinely. I talk
Parker,
to Trump
stop.
supporters every single
Stop,
day.
Parker.
This is one of the most insufferable people I've ever talked to.
I know. That's fine. That's
Yeah,
fair.
yeah,
That's
and
a flaw
you are
in my
honestly worse than a
character.
lot of the Trump supporters. To be totally honest with you.
Yeah, that might. Hey, you know what? That could be a flaw in my
You probably
character.
are a
That
Trump
is
supporter,
not.
actually. Are you? Do you support Trump?
Is this another red herring? I
Wait,
know.
wait, wait. Just a real question. Do you support Trump?
You see what I
First, the
deal with this?
costume. Do
Yeah,
you
this
support
is.
Trump?
Wait. I thought you had an argument,
Wait,
Parker.
I do. I do.
Let's do that.
I'm curious. I'm curious. Do you
Parker,
support Trump?
here's the argument.
Hey, do
In
you support Trump?
conclusion, you must be a Trump supporter.
Wait, wait.
Parker,
I'm asking. Do you?
you got almost
Can he answer the
4,000
question, dude?
people.
It's like I ask him
Yeah,
a
you got
question he
almost
never can
four.
answer.
Parker, you got almost 4,000 people watching you epically fail. Drive your argument home. Show me how creation changes God's essential properties. Hurry up. I don't want to be here all day, Parker. It's been fun, but you got almost 4,000 people watching you right now. This is a pivot. This is a duck, dive, dodge, dip.
I'd love for you to watch the conversation back to be able to apply that yourself. Now, answer the question. Are you a Trump supporter? I'll continue with the argument. I'm just curious.
Has nothing to do with. I'm not interested in talking about politics.
Oh, you don't have to. You don't have to.
I
I'm
am
not
a
gonna question you anymore. I'm just
I am a
curious.
Christian. I'm here to talk about the irrationality of your atheism, and I think I've done a good job.
I
You've
understand.
not been able to
I
engage
understand,
with
dude.
anything.
Hey, dude. Hey, dude.
And now I'm here trying to get you to just
Okay, we're gonna just do this. I will literally mute you every single time you don't answer a question.
not
Okay? Do you
posturing,
want to play this
bud.
game? No, seriously. This is embarrassing. You're the one posturing. Do you want to play this game?
Now you're gonna mute me over and over.
Yes, I will. I will mute you over and over again because you're not answering
Parker,
questions. I will mute you over and over again because you're not answering
Parker, go
questions.
crack.
Until I hear an answer to your question, and to the answer to the question, I'm not going to unmute you. You've been acting
Merry
like a child
Christmas,
this whole
buddy.
time. You can't even answer direct questions. I'm literally just asking because I think that you probably are MAGA, right? And honestly, it would make sense because you're pretty insufferable. Okay,
So can I have that argument? You talked all that.
we will, we will. I'm just waiting for you to be able to respond to this
muting me.
question. Nope, I won't. No, seriously, if you don't answer,
right.
next time you unmute, if you don't answer, I'll thank a bunch of people, and you won't even have time to be able to respond for like the next fucking 5 minutes. Okay? So do you
Repent,
want to
buddy.
answer right now, or do you want me to just for the next 5 minutes thank people because I don't have enough in my fucking energy to continue to do this without you
here it
fucking
goes.
responding.
You ready? I am a Jesus supporter.
Okay. All right. So we'll do this. Garrett, thank you so much for the $30. I really appreciate it. He's very much a
All right,
child.
Parker,
Thank you
thanks
so
for
much,
having
Garrett.
me
I
on,
really
bud.
appreciate it. He's about to run away because he doesn't want to actually engage with my points.
If you can't
Thank you so
finish
much, Garrett, for the
your
$30. Thank you so much. Benjamin, thank you so much for
Then
the
I'm
$5.
gonna
By the
dip.
way, Garrett, Merry Christmas to you. Benjamin, thank you so much for the $5. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Bradley, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $5 as well. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I know, right? Thank you so much for the Galaxy as well. Bye-bye. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Benjamin, again, with the $5. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. I know, it's kind of embarrassing. And Benjamin, also,
I'll
again,
mute
thank you for the
myself for a minute.
$10. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. He does. He literally does without actually providing a justification for that. Kylie, thank you so much for the $5. Merry Christmas to you as well. Christian, thank you so much for the $5. Merry Christmas. Benjamin, again, with the $10. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Benjamin. Some W's for them in the comments. Zachary, thank you so much for the $5. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Christine, thank you so much for the $5 on PayPal as well. Merry Christmas to both of you. Kenda, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $10. Absolutely not. Genevieve, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $30. Merry Christmas to you as well, Genevieve. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the $30. Thank you so much. Harry, thank you for the $4. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Catherine with the $10. Merry Christmas to you as well. I have some people to thank on YouTube real quick, and then we'll continue on if the guest actually can. Ken, thank you so much for the $10. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much again. Joe, thank you so much for the $10. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Tools, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $5. Happy Holidays, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Vance, thank you so much for the $5 as well. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Derek, thank you for the $20. I really appreciate it, Derek. Thank you so much, Derek. Holy shit, Derek sent so many. Holy fuck, Derek. I didn't even see this until now. Holy shit, Derek. Thank you for the $100. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Can we get some W's for Derek in the comment section right now? I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Derek, and for the $10, and for the for another $20, for the $50 as well. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Derek. Thank you. I'll definitely make sure to look through that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Derek. Thank you for the $10, and for the another 10, and for the 5, and the 10. Derek with another 60. Holy shit. Thank you so much. Can we get some W's for Derek in the comment section right now? Thank you so much. That is so kind of you. Thank you. Jason, again, thank you so much for the $5 or the $10. Sam, thank you so much for the $5. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Rev, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $5. Thank you. Angel with the 5. Rev again with the 2. Thank you so much. And Kimberly, thank you so much for the $20. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I actually don't. I used to. And I'll think about it for sure. I'll definitely think about it for sure. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Are you done grifting?
As well as
for
Vance, thank you for the $5. Wow,
No,
now
we're
I'm
still-
grifting.
we're still
Now
going.
I'm grifting for atheism. What makes you think? What makes you think I'm grifting?
Atheist. You want to be like, hey, there's no God, but then when I press you, you just want to play
Push
like
the galaxy.
silly games. Can I get that?
So now I'm
conclusion,
grifting.
or
Can you define grifting now?
I just feel like I'm on a.
He's
long
totally MAGA.
date,
By the way,
and I
he's
don't
totally
wanna be
MAGA.
here
Chat. He's
anymore.
totally MAGA. You're MAGA. Totally. You answer the question. Are you MAGA?
I'm not sure what my political leaning has to do with your.
That answer definitely means he's MAGA. He would have said he's not MAGA if he's not. Like, he totally is MAGA. I knew someone
Are you
couldn't
waiting
be.
for your friend to help you?
Maya, thank you so much for the $10 on PayPal. Thank you so much for supporting the grift. Thank you. SG, thank you so much for the membership subscription. Ray, thank you so much for the membership subscription. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for supporting the grift. I really appreciate it. Thank you very
guys.
much.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you for thanking them as well. Raw, thank you so much. Really appreciate the $2 as well. Thank you so much.
That's right.
Thank you so much. I really
Thanks
appreciate
for-
the
hey,
grift.
thanks for letting
Thank
me
you,
up
Kelly,
here,
with the $10
showing
for the
that you got
atheist
nothing.
grift. Thank you so much, Kelly. I
Thanks for the
appreciate the support for the atheist grift. Lane, thank you for the
I would
$5.
like to
Thank you so
go,
much.
though,
Merry
unless
Christmas.
Unless you're just
Wait.
trying to keep me up here on a date, like. Do you
Hold
have
up.
a
So I got you. I
conclusion
got
for
you.
This argument?
I
Like,
got
or
you with
what?
an argument.
You drugged me this way, and I'm like, oh,
I got you.
I'm
I got you
ready.
with an argument. I just got to grift a little bit. MAGA cries. Thank you for the $2. Thank you so much for supporting the grift. Thank you.
I just feel
Alrighty,
like
here.
you're
Hold up.
coping right now. Do you need to phone a
I'm
friend?
trying
Are you
to-
waiting for that respond text?
Oh
Like,
yeah, no, I
help?
need to phone a friend to deal with you. Yeah, definitely. I definitely do.
I mean, I've been waiting.
Dwayne, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Don, thank you so much for the $25. Thank you. He reminds me of Brock. I know, right? Dude.
Well, Jesus loves
Thank you very
folks.
much.
Merry
All right, let me.
Christmas.
No, I'm giving you an
not gonna
argument.
get
I'm
that
giving you an
conclusion.
argument.
I will.
I'm giving you an
I will,
argument.
yeah.
This is Merry
You
Griftmas.
were about ready to tell me how this
I got
somehow
you.
It changes
I got
God's
you.
essential properties.
I got you. Can I please make my argument?
I've been waiting for so
Yeah,
long.
and yet you cut me off instead of letting me actually talk about that. So
I've
again,
literally
so
got. I've been saying like
stop
I do
talking.
have
Just
to
stop. Just
go.
stop. 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 Stop.
All
Stop.
right. So
Stop.
what's
Stop.
the
It's okay.
argument?
It's gonna be
Let's
okay.
go.
Lauren, thank you for the $5 for supporting the grift. Thank you. So again, in terms of this, you believe that sin is not consistent with the with God's will or God's nature. I mean,
It's perfect, Will. Yeah,
right?
sure.
And to
Yeah.
clarify, you do believe that prior to creation, everything was consistent with God's perfect will.
I don't know that anybody can know that. I mean, if God's will was that He was to create creatures that would sin, then I don't know that that's a question anyone can answer.
Okay, so to clarify, so his will was to create it, meaning he wasn't doing something consistent with his own will until he did create.
No, I've already made a distinction. You got to do better, bud. This is really bad. So I'll explain it to you again. So God has, and this isn't even controversial. So God has a
We
perfect
haven't
will,
even gotten through the
and
argument
within
yet. We're
God's
just
perfect
establishing
will,
this.
everything would work out a certain way. But God permits us to sin, you and
I
me,
understand.
right? And that's a good thing that God's long suffering, because we don't want to be judged yet, right? We want a chance to repent so we can continue, living in the world doing stupid stuff like you're going to do all day, obsessing with the God you know. And we don't want to be judged yet. We want to repent first. So yeah. So go ahead. So this somehow, so creation changes God's essential properties. How?
Yeah. So the point that I'm trying to make is that, again, God is perfect, meaning that there are no flaws, there's no
Right.
lack of desirable characteristics. And in this particular
That's right.
sense, again, it's consistent with his nature prior to the fact that there is going to be the existence of creation. Creation is
That's right.
inconsistent with his nature because it
Which
includes.
nature? Which
Let me
nature?
please
Which
finish. It is
nature?
inconsistent with his nature because it includes sin, it
See
includes
how they straw man?
imperfection and lack of
They literally
desirability
can't
and
represent us right.
undesirable traits in terms of sins. So if it
Yeah.
includes
So
all of those particular things, well, then obviously
the
it would
straw man
include.
too?
Let me
That you
please
straw
finish.
man?
You see how
Well,
he
you're
can't
straw
let me
manning,
finish?
but okay. I thought
Alrighty,
you
we'll
could
just
do
do this.
better.
Lauren, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $5 for the atheist
All right.
grift.
Thanks,
Thank you so
Parker.
much. I really
So
appreciate it.
yeah,
Jason, thank you for the
creation
$20 for the
is.
religion is the biggest grift ever. True.
Thanks, Parker.
Yeah.
You done lousy. Maybe one of
No,
these days you
no.
can
I'm gonna.
actually
I'm.
represent my position.
I'm gonna
Right?
actually continue with
So
this if you let me continue
creation
with
is
it, but you
consistent.
clearly aren't.
Yeah, when you say God's will, after I've made numerous times the distinction between
I
God's
understand.
perfect will and God's permissive
I
will,
get it.
if you can't get that right in your
I
argument,
said
then all
God's
you're doing is
nature.
straw man.
I said nature of God.
Yeah, so God's nature, within God's nature, God allows for for people to sin against him.
I
That is
understand.
permissive.
I understand.
Yeah,
I
there's no
understand.
problem
But
there.
what you're
What's
not
the problem?
understanding,
How does that affect God's
I'm trying to
affect
explain.
God's essential properties? Explain to me.
Yeah, his
And then
essential
I gotta go
property
because I
is
feel
this.
like you're just I think you're just dragging your feet, wasting time here. When you know I gotta go. I'm trying.
You've cut me
I'm
off
holding on to my
every
seat though
single
for you.
time that I have spoke, and you think I'm the one dragging this on.
Oh,
I was
posture,
able to. You
Parker.
can
You
watch
went on
back.
your
I was
grift
able to
for
run
like
this.
5 minutes.
I was able to run this argument with so many other guests. You are so insufferable. I have not been able to get through this argument, and it's taken so long because of you. It is not because of me. It's because you take so damn long to let me finish the fucking points because you
I
cut me
know,
off
because I'm
every
like,
single
it's a
time I speak,
straw
like
man,
right now.
Parker.
Stop talking. Dude, I'm going to just mute
Crashing
you.
out.
Stop. And you're saying I'm
Crashing.
crashing out when I'm literally just trying to be able to speak. You see? You're acting like a child. Okay? So let me continue to finish. So again, the point is that, again, it is inconsistent with his will, specifically to create, or not with his will, with his nature, with God's nature, specifically to create because of the fact that there's going to be some flaws within the existence when God creates. And I understand you're saying God allows for these things, and it's part
Why
of
is
his
that
permissive.
inconsistent?
Oh my God. I am explaining.
Yeah, I'm
Shut.
asking you why that's
Be quiet,
inconsistent.
please. Please stop talking. I'm
It's
explaining and
just an
I'm working on
assertion.
that. I need you to listen. You cut me off one time and I'm just going to thank people until I'm done. Okay? Because this is absurd. I can't even go through the argument. Okay? Again, it is consistent with his nature, specifically to not create, because of the fact that he's perfect. Everything within existence is perfect, and it's all in accordance with his particular nature. Whereas after there's creation, there are sins, things that God do not please God, things that God is not happy with, and he said is against his desire. Right? Given that that's the case, it's not consistent with his will. Right? Specifically, right? For that to occur. right? It's not consistent with
His
with his nature. That's what I
permissive
meant to
will.
say. With his nature.
His
You're
perfect
saying it's
will?
consistent. You're saying it's consistent with his permissive will. But what I'm arguing is it's not consistent with his perfect will, as his perfect will would not include a permissive will where it allows for sins to occur
What?
because of the fact that
Says
there is
who?
a because of the fact that there is a
Wait, says
existence.
who?
Let me explain. Because of the fact that there's an existence prior to creation that does not include those characteristics. So it would entail that God went from a state of affairs in which had no lack of desirable characteristics and had completely desirable characteristics, no undesirable characteristics, to a world that does have undesirable characteristics because he decided to create. Because again, sin was within our existence, and that is again an existence of some sort of will that is not in accordance with the perfect will. So unless there is a necessary argument for permissive
That's the
will
part you
to
need to
allow for
defend. That's
sin
an
to occur,
assertion.
unless there is a necessary argument for permissive will allowing for sin to occur, then there's not an argument on the basis of that. And it's also assuming that all of the suffering and bad things that exist within the world are totally dependent upon sin, when it's actually not the case. Like whether or not we starve to death is independent of that. And if you're going to say that that's in accordance with God's perfect will, that people starve to death, I think that would be an absurd, ridiculous position as well.
Parker, do you understand that there's a difference between making arguments and making assertions? So all you did was you asserted that creation is somehow inconsistent with God's nature. But that is sloppy. I've already explained to you how that it wouldn't be inconsistent with God's nature because God did it. God doing something is consistent with God's nature. It is consistent with the nature of God to create people that will sin. Again, sin does not have an ontology. Sin isn't a thing that exists. It's not like concrete out there extended in space. Sin is a deviation from God's perfect will. But
I
God
understand.
permits it because that is consistent with God's nature. If you want to say that's not the case, Parker, then you're only making an assertion unless you have an argument. And I understand why you don't like engaging with me, because I'm calling you out on your straw man. It's a sloppy argument and it's really weak. You need to go back to the drawing board. If you can't accurately represent my position and you got a posture and grift in the middle of your argument, it's because you're just coping. Okay? Even so, lastly, you're going to have to show that somehow creation compromises or is a deviation from God's essential properties. And you've not been able to do that too. So Parker, it's been fun. Atheism is lousy. I hope that you guys repent. Merry Christmas.
Wait,
Christ
don't
is
leave.
born.
I still have I have a point.
No,
I
I do
didn't
have to
finish.
go. I've been saying that for 20 minutes. I'm not running from you. We'll
Wait, no,
talk later.
can I make at
Is
least
that
one or two
fair?
more points before you
Parker,
leave?
is that fair? Another
It
straw
would be
man?
fair, but I just asked if I could make one or two more points before you leave.
I'm not going to respond to them. If you want me on
That's fine.
stage so you can misrepresent what I'm going to say,
I'm not going to
then that's
misrepresent
fine.
anything.
But at this point, like I've been clear. I
You're
do
you're
have to
limiting
go.
my ability to be able to tell you right now, and you're wasting time.
All right.
You
Let me
wasted so
brace
much time.
myself, Parker. Let me brace myself. Go ahead.
Okay. So it only makes sense for there to be a deviation that he allows if the deviation was logically necessary. The argument I provided to you was that the deviation was not logically necessary to achieve perfection because perfection already existed prior to the deviation. So the deviation is all unnecessary and is inconsistent with his will and inconsistent with his nature on the basis of the fact that we're referencing the perfect will because of the fact that it is unnecessary to have any level of deviation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Parker. So again, that's an assertion that you would need to be omniscient to defend.
Not true.
This is
I
why
just clarified.
this is why most people don't. Even Cosmic Skeptic doesn't take you guys seriously anymore. Okay?
What?
Yeah, you guys are like atheism.
I don't think Cosmic
I don't know.
Skeptic knows who I am.
Like it's cute that you obsess with the God you pretend is false all day. But yeah, you would need to be omniscient to defend that. And again, you're only making an assertion.
Wait, Alex
And you're
O'Connor is
demanding-
atheist. You know Alex O'Connor's an atheist,
Yeah.
right?
Well, he was talking about like the naturalist and those who like fail to defend their worldview recently. Which would be you,
I'm not
right?
someone who even
'Cause remember when I
specified a
asked-
particular
remember when I
worldview.
asked you- Right. Well, yeah. So the
He agrees
the
with me.
facts that
Alex
you
O'Connor
assert-
agrees with me. I just want to clarify that.
So Parker, the facts that you assert have no fundamental context.
Wait, I told you
Right?
that
That's
there's
what
no
you're saying.
necessary element to deviate, right? So because again,
Okay, Parker,
perfection was
we'll
already
talk
achieved.
later, Parker.
So you're saying it would be necessary for there to be perfection
Parker.
achieved, but perfection already existed prior to this point, because God
Parker.
existed alone, and that was perfection.
Right. Yeah. So again, there's nothing. You're going to have to more than assert it. You're just demanding it to be the case. That's an assertion. That's not an argument. Okay. That's why I made that distinction between like an
I did.
essential
I did
property
provide you that.
and an accidental property.
It's not just a demand. It's
God can change. Hold on. God can change certain things. God can create in the same way that you can change your hair color. You can dye it blue and run out and yell like silly stuff in the street like you guys do. You can do that stuff, but that's not inconsistent with your essential nature, is it?
It is
No, it's not.
because it
So no,
contradicts
well, no,
the
it's not.
perfect will, because the perfect will would entail that
That's
there
an
is no
assertion.
deviation unless
That's an
necessary.
assertion, and I didn't even agree to that. So
Okay, so then you think
again,
that there
you're
could be
just
deviations
yeah.
unnecessarily and it could still be
Again, no,
perfect? That makes no sense.
Parker, it's been fun. I do have to
Wouldn't that
go.
just entail that there are sins and
I
it's
do
not
have to go.
perfect?
I hope that you can repent or come up with a good argument because
I
that
think you
one's
should
really
repent,
hard.
turn to pieces.
But
Garrett, thank you so much for the $10. I really
thanks for
appreciate it.
having me
Garrett,
on,
thank you so
Parker.
much
It's
for the
been fun.
$10. Nikki, thank you so much for the $5. Happy holidays. Abigail, thank you so much for the $25. Thank you so much, of course. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Abigail. Chris Dale, thank you so much. Really appreciate the membership subscription. That was so insufferable, dude. That was one of the most insufferable conversations I've had in a long time. I really tried. I really tried.